Welcome to Nightly News at 9. Today's special is on extinction.
Today's guests are from the Environmental Science Department, who are here to answer a few questions for us. But first, what is extinction?
We looked into this topic a little bit to gain some background knowledge, and extinction is the death of the last individual of a species. We also learned that about 95% of all species that have existed on Earth have gone extinct.
Yeah, and that a species normally lives 1 to 10 million years, and the death of a species affects the ecosystem. And here to talk more in detail about that sort of thing are our guests. Hello, you guys. Care to introduce yourselves? Yay!
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Dr. Claire, and I specialize in how extinct species affect the ecosystem.
And my name is Professor Tom, and I'm a specialist on geographic areas of extinct species.
So first, what made you want to observe extinction rates and life patterns of animals?
Well, as a kid, I've always loved animals and wanted to work with them as a career. And as I got older, I worked at animal shelters and decided I wanted to do something with more of an impact, so I decided to study ecosystems.
Ah, very nice. How about you?
Yeah, I would say the same exact thing, very similar. I've always loved animals and just wanted to do something that helps the world understand their importance and their effects on others.
So what areas would you say have the most extinction?
Well, in order to document extinction, the species must be watched for several years. Locations depend on the way the species become extinct. There is habitat loss, illegal poaching, loss of keystone species, and many more.
What's a keystone species?
I can answer this one. A keystone species is one that has a profound influence on its ecosystem. And if something happens to that species, like extinction, there can be a large-scale impact on the rest of the ecosystem.
Okay, so back to the locations of extinction. What areas have the most?
Well, for illegal poaching, areas like the jungle and safari have high levels of extinction or endangered or threatened species. Because of certain animals like rhinos or elephants, or many more, being killed for their tusks or horns, and tigers for their furs and bones, which are very valuable in the market these days.
Okay, and now what about habitat loss?
Well, we are running into a lot of problems with habitat loss and extinction in areas like cities in America and highly populated human areas. And then in the rainforest, there's illegal logging and turning that into farmland, where the farmers most likely shoot any animal that walks into their property. Also in the rainforest, for illegal trade of wildlife.
So what countries have the most extinction?
Well, according to the Red List.
Wait. What's the red list?
Okay. The Red List is the world's most comprehensive inventory of global conservation status of biological species. It says that Japan has 13 extinct species, Sri Lanka has 20, Mexico has 31, Australia has 34, French Polynesia has 83 extinct species, New Zealand has 22, and the United States has the most, total of 236 extinct species.
Wow.
The Red List also includes plants, which many do not know. China has 4 extinct plants, India has 8, Cuba has 5, the United States has 30, Ecuador has 9, and Brazil has 8 extinct plants.
Okay, and how do these species affect the ecosystems?
Like we said about the keystone species, one species can affect the whole ecosystem. Every species relies on at least one other species and has long-lasting effects on biodiversity.
Can you give us an example?
Well, in North America, the gray wolf is endangered, and since it is an important predator in its environment, it regulates the population of its prey. An example of this is if the wolf population goes down, the deer elk population will go up, and there would be overpopulation. That would lead to overgrazing and the possible extinction of some plant subspecies. This would be a loss in biodiversity, and it would upset the ecosystem.
And why is the gray wolf endangered?
Well, it is an intense predator, and we kill predators because we fear our own lives, pets, and livestock's lives.
And why does upsetting the ecosystem matter, especially if we don't live in that area?
While ecosystems destroyed beyond repair can lead to no more clean water, breathable air, or fertile soil, it might also affect the climate control.
So how well do you think the public is educated on this topic?
Bill, we haven't surveyed anyone recently, so we really don't have the answer.
Well, that's good for you because we surveyed some of our viewers and the results are astonishing.
We asked people where they think the most extinctions take place, and the most common answers are oceans, rainforests, deserts, and heavily populated areas.
We then asked them what they think the main cause of extinction is, and the results were climate, humans, and habitat loss.
And then we asked what impact do they think extinction has on ecosystems, and the results were interruptions in the food chain and less animals to study.
And our last question was, what continent do you think that has the greatest amount of extinctions and why? Our most common answer was the United States of America.
Well, those are very interesting answers. I'm glad you answered that survey.
Well, that looks like all we have time for, so thank you for watching. Thanks to the Environmental Science Department for coming down and answering our questions.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.